it's really quite classical, you know, but with a very weird twist, because I'm a fucking woman killing a prostitute in a really fucking brutal way.
We're going to talk about Django today.
Yes.
So it's a Western. Are you a Western fan yourself?
I'm a big Western fan. I grew up watching Dancing with Wolves and The Last Mohican, like over and over, obsessive. And I always wanted to do a Western, but it's hard. Like most of the time, like the female characters would be quite shallow, and like, you know, it's the prostitute or it's the wife, or, you know, the girl that needs to be saved, or the girls who got kidnapped, you know. So I think, you know, I've been offered a few Westerns, but this was the first time, you know, the character had layers and was actually like a human with lots of colors.
What is it about Western that you find interesting?
I mean, I think it's the human against nature. It's always quite, there is a loneliness, there is a brutality, there is always like the good and the bad. It's, you know, it's a time also in the US where everything was shifting. It's like a break point in history. And also, you know, it's you and your animal. I grew up on a farm, and in most Westerns, there's a really strong connection to, you know, either your horse or your dog, or, you know, the buffalo. So I think, I mean, I love The Revenant, for example, which is like, it's not a Western, but it's the same time period sort of. So I've always been drawn to, I guess, the extremes of that time. And it's normally a quite simple kind of premise, of like, you know, you can easily, you know, it's like, oh yeah, and I think that has something, it's sort of like connected to Greek tragedy. There's like a simplicity in the stories normally, and I feel like, you know, Elizabeth has a lot of that, you know. She's almost like a character out of a Shakespeare, or like, you know, a Greek tragedy.
Yeah, I see. So the series is based on a movie, the original Django movie. Were you aware of that movie? Have you seen it before?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I think that what they also wanted to do was kind of to break down the typical hero. So, you know, our hero, Mattia Schöner's Django, is not, you know, the hero. He's a bit of an anti-hero. And I feel like all the characters in our Django are kind of have both a darkness and a kind of a human side, a positive side. So I feel like what they wanted to do was kind of to break the normal agreement of what a Western would be.
Yeah, okay, I see. Because the original Django is what we call a spaghetti Western.
Yeah.
More gritty, more bloodier than the movies from US back then. Did you have the same approach with this production, with the series?
Yeah, we wanted to make it real, I feel like. And really, I mean, we shot in Romania for 6 months, and it was dirty, you know, super hot, and then got cold. It was like, it kind of felt a bit like we were in, you know, went back in time sort of, because we were shot up in this beautiful, amazing location up in Brasov, which is like, you know, I think it's Transylvania, and we shot like, it felt like we were out in the desert, and it was really like, you know, us against nature and like hard conditions sometimes. And I remember my very first day is the scene when the two camps, like I ride up on the hill on my white horse, and we meet John and his team, and there's this stand up, and like I have his son, you know, I kind of have his son under my custody, and we're kind of negotiating. And then right when like I think it was the first take, like heaven just opened, and it was just started pouring down, and then it was like we have a thunderstorm. We were like, what is going on? And then we had to pause, and we're sitting like waiting for the rain to stop. And Francesca, the director, came to me. She was like, what do you think? I was like, I think it's gonna stop. I think you should get them ready. And she was like, look, there's like, okay, let's hope for it. And then they were like, okay, let's get everyone ready. And then it stopped, and it was like we went up, shot the whole scene, and as soon as we were finished, like it started raining again. So we were kind of had this weird like battle with nature many times.
And they built a whole Western city for this?
Yeah, that was in studios in Bucharest.
I'm looking for someone.
Now go ahead and tell these fine people your name.
Django. died a long time ago, but I'm here now.
Well, we all deserve a second chance.
You really believe we get one?
Blood wins over everything. Are you ready for your destiny?
You have already talked a little bit about Elizabeth, but could you introduce your character?
Yeah, Elizabeth is the plantation owner of a huge plantation, and she's sort of running the city as well. There's a mayor, but like they're all kind of working for her, and she has a gang called the Brotherhood that is also working for her, and she's extremely religious. She is a servant of God, and she kind of goes into this like sort of like a side character, like an alter ego almost, where she dresses up like a man and she goes out on this killing spread. So she's cleaning the world from the bad people in the name of God, like her version of God. And she's deeply romantic, and she had her heart broken. So she's sort of like tortured inside and bleeding inside, and has a lot of shame and guilt that she's battling, and is dreaming of being kind of getting reunited with her love, an impossible love. So she's a very complex character.
So you're a fan of westerns, you just told me, and the western as a genre has some very classic iconography with cowboy hats and horses and pistols. What was it like finding the right costume, and how was it getting up dressed like a real badass cowboy?
Oh, I loved it. We had an amazing costume designer as well, Alessandro Lai, and he was just, we had so much fun. We're trying different things, and like, I was like, can I have more knives on me? Can we have like, can I create like, on top of the gloves, can we have like rings that we can use as a knuckle duster? It was this whole like kind of really creating an epic look. And it was so much fun. I loved like, and all the big dresses, like she's almost like this like statue when she's the very feminine, very classic, very sober, and very like almost has this like innocent dark look. And then the extremism when she goes into being the cowboy, the killer cowboy. So I mean, we had so much fun with her. I loved it. I got like goosebumps when we were creating the looks.
And your introduction in the very first episode is to the killer side, to the killer cowboy. What was it like creating that scene? Could you tell me a little about that process?
I mean, that little sequence is almost like a short film. I love it. I think it's so epic, and it's really quite classical, but with a very weird twist, because I'm a fucking woman killing a prostitute in a really fucking brutal way. But like, I think, Francesca Comancini really coordinated that and worked. That was her creation with the stunt team, obviously. But I loved working with her. We had like a lot of fun in that sequence, and, really kind of creating those kind of epic, classic cowboy moments, but still have, the twist of, it's a woman disguised as a man doing it all. And then she comes out of and the brothel is like burning behind me, and I'm like praying to God and like, connecting with the Lord.